Hola a todos, yo soy Yadmiko de Fighters Only en Español. Estamos aquí con el campeón del UFC, Benson Henderson. Thank you very much, Benson, for giving us an interview. How are you feeling? How's Mexico doing for you?
Well, thanks for having me. I definitely appreciate it. Mexico's been pretty awesome so far. I've been to the border towns a couple of times, but this is my first time into Mexico, so it's pretty cool. I'm definitely digging it.
Okay. As you can see, our Fighters Only cover for the Spanish version is a little bit different. What do you think about the cover?
I think the cover's awesome. Actually, this is one of the covers I don't have, and I was trying to find a way to get a hold of a copy of it so I can have it for my own personal sake, my own personal collection, and I now have a copy of it.
So how does it feel to, we understand Fighters Only is all around the world. Here in Mexico, in Latin America, it's only been out for 7 months.
Yeah.
How does it feel for your cover to be around all of the Spanish-speaking fans?
It's pretty cool, man. It's definitely, definitely appreciate it. It's always nice to get a cover. The first time I was on a cover ever, I was like, of course, super geeked and just crazy excited. And I still get that way every time I see a cover. I'm not on, too many covers or anything like that. So when I see it, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
You mentioned you're living in Arizona. You mentioned you've gone to Mexico a couple of times. Have you had any approach to the MMA scene in Mexico at all?
Yeah. Because of my, one of my, good friends, one of my best friends is Efrain Escudero. One of my training partners, my brother, I consider him. He was a pretty big deal in the UFC and the MMA world. So seeing him, being with him for a while now, for a few years, being able to see the growth of mixed martial arts in Mexico. Even like 3 years ago, how it was not quite as big, not quite as well known. Now that you guys have your own, Fighters Only magazines, the Spanish edition. So seeing that, it's nice to see the growth. It's nice to see the way where it's come from, how big it's grown now, and how much bigger it's going to get still with the UFC signing the deal with Televisa. Right. All inclusive, 24-hour, 7 days a week channel just for UFC. They're going to show old Pride fights, old Strikeforce fight, old WC fights. That's pretty cool right there.
Okay. Speaking of that, the UFC, like you said, is really pushing into the Mexican market specifically, but all of Latin America, I think. How do you see Mexico as a potential market for MMA and the UFC, obviously?
Well, I think the Mexican fans are so passionate. It stems from football, but they're just so passionate. They have so much drive for stuff they like, they enjoy. They're passionate about their boxing. The boxing's ingrained into the culture down here. If MMA can get a small part of that, just a little bit of that, a tiny fraction of that passion, I think MMA is, the sky's the limit for MMA, for UFC down here in Mexico. I'd love to, let's get a soccer stadium, a football stadium down here, fill it full of 100,000 people, 100,000 fans. Let's do that. Put me on that card. I want to be on that card for sure.
All right. Hopefully we'll have it in this year, maybe next year. Hopefully soon.
Hopefully.
Okay. This past UFC event, we had Gray Maynard versus TJ Grant.
Yeah.
I think it surprised a lot of people the way it turned out.
Yeah.
What do you think about TJ Grant as a challenger?
I think TJ's tough as heck. I think he's proven it. He's shown it. He's on a 5-fight win streak. I think it's the second longest in the UFC at 155. So he's proven himself. He's tough as heck. Solid fundamentals. Doesn't have a whole lot of holes. He's not super flashy, but he doesn't have a whole lot of holes in his game. So that's going to be the biggest, I think, thing we have to look for, is finding those holes, because not a lot of holes have been exposed so far when he's fought. So we're going to have to watch a lot of film and see what he does, see where he leaves openings that we can take advantage of. But he's tough as heck. Going to be a good fight, It's up to my job to make sure I go out there and make sure I have a good performance, make sure he has a bad performance.
Right. Okay. Let's say Benson Henderson retains the title. Would you consider giving Gilbert Melendez a rematch? We know it was a split decision victory.
Yeah, I'm open to doing a Gilbert rematch. I'm not one of those guys who says, oh, I'll fight this guy, I won't fight this guy. I'm not really one of those prima donna fighters, who says, "Oh, I want this, so I want a jar full of only red M&Ms." That's not me. If Dana White learns of Fertitta, Sean Shelby, Joe Silva, if they say, Gilbert's next, cool, let's do that. I imagine, he's tough as heck. I imagine he'll probably win 2 or 3 more fights, 1 or 2 more fights, and be back up there again for a title shot. It's my job to make sure I'm the one holding the belt still when he gets that title shot again.
Okay. And then we have Anthony Pettis fighting against Jose Aldo for his next fight. How do you see them, possible rematch with Anthony Pettis, or even that super fight versus Jose Aldo?
Yeah.
What do you think about those?
I would love to have a super fight. I don't really want to fight Jose Aldo. I love that guy. We both kind of came up in the WC together, both had the belts together, that sort of stuff. So I like him a lot. He's a good guy. I don't necessarily want to fight him exactly, but if it so happens, Dana White is on record. He's on the cameras having said, if Jose Aldo, beats Showtime Pettis, that he gets a shot at 155 next.
Right.
That sounds good to me. Let's do a soccer stadium down in Brazil. Let's fill it up, full of 100,000 people. Let's put it on Fox. Let's do it up right. I would love that. Pettis, him and I will probably dance again at some point in time. I imagine him also. He'll be one of those guys who win 2, 3 more times, and eventually he'll work his way up to a title shot at 155. It's my job to make sure I have the belt when he gets that title shot at 155.
Okay, Benson. Well, that's about it.
Cool.
We'd like to welcome you to Mexico City. We know we have a short stop here, but I don't know if you'd like to say anything to the Mexican fans or the Latin American fans.
Cool.
In general.
Yeah, to Latin American fans, all the Mexican fans, just thanks so much for the love and support. It's been a growing process so far to get MMA, to get the UFC where it's at. Got a lot of hard work still to do, and part of that is for me to do my job and entertain you guys. So I promise to give you guys good entertainment. Make sure you guys keep tuning in and checking us out. We appreciate it.